Eye on Dependency this Sunday from 10 a.m. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or on our Facebook page or YouTube channel. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories. We change lives. We change lives.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
That onto Google. Happy Mother's Day. Thank you very much, Natasha, and we say pleasant morning to each and every one of you listening to us here this morning. We thank you very much. Thank God for bringing us here safely on another Sunday. And to, of course, educate you as we always do. This morning, we are blessed to have as our guests Miss Giselle Chance and Miss Kadaffi Romney. We'll be speaking with Giselle Chance first, who, as you all know, is a mother herself, but a mother par excellence, a mother who has not only family to take care of, but she also has the vision and mission family of men to take care of. And this, as you know, has been entrusted in her care since the passing of her husband, Wayne. And so she's carrying a very, very, very heavy load as a mother. And as you know, they recently launched the Triangle of Hope. That was on Wednesday last. And we want to congratulate them for that. I'm sure she could touch on that a bit. But we will have her with us this morning. For those of you who never heard the Giselle Chance story and how Giselle Chance became a social entrepreneur, we'll find out that from her this morning.
It's a very interesting story for those of you who haven't heard it before, and it's an apt one for today's celebration, worldwide celebration of mothers. And I'm sure it's one that many women out there can relate to. So we're looking forward to that conversation. And then later on this morning,
we will have a lady who has been in the news recently with her son and that situation with the police involved, that police involved situation with her son, let me just say it. And she this morning we'll hear a bit about her too, and her role this morning is to give the mothers out there hope and strength, especially those who have experienced or experiencing what she's going through right now. So we'll be seeking Ms. Kadaffi Romney. And as we have, let me just say Happy Mother's Day to all mothers of members of the Protective Service, because I know most of you have hearts in your hands. Sometimes your son or daughter leaves home to take up duty until they get back home. And if you're a mother like my mother, well, they make a call during the day to see if they're all right. So Happy Mother's Day to all of you, and God bless you all. We thank you very much for the support that you give, especially to the people we speak with this morning and the people we refer to. As I said, Ms. Chance is in a very unique position, and we'll hear about that. So she'll be joining us via video call. And remember, you can join us live on the Dependency Facebook page or YouTube channel, or just relax and listen to us on the radio. So after the short break, we'll be back with Ms. Giselle Chance and her story. We'll be back. Stay right
there. I come in and don't give me no attitude there.
You have shit and manners, boy.
I wish I had your touch, boy.
You have to groom them. First, you have to target them, scope them out, see if they have low self-esteem, family problems, you know? Then you move in and gain the trust.
I like your glasses.
After that, you feel a need. Some of them like nice things like fancy phones, hairdos, clothes, food. It have ones who only looking for somebody to care and listen to the problems. You feel me? What's important though, you have to isolate them from the people. Let them believe it's all about you
Forget
and them.
I care about you.
Then you get through.
Nice, nice.
Look one right there. Try thing now.
A message from the counter-trafficking unit of the Ministry of National Security.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
Eye on Dependency will be a morning show in 2022.
That's right. Eye on Dependency marks 20 years on the air. We're taking our groundbreaking brand of radio to a whole new audience. From the team that took you inside prisons in the UK.
I was being held and charged for conspiracy to import cocaine into the UK.
We spoke with men and women who have paid for their crimes.
They didn't tell me if I bring him back and I get catch, I'll get 14 years in prison then. They didn't say that.
We brought you the glamour of feature film.
I do have a package to drop off in Trinidad.
For you, Alejandro, anything.
I will pay you each 5,000 euros.
And the squalor of death row.
I said come in Portland for my kids in the High Court in Port of Spain, and it was in come by the gate and pin from the gate.
And of course, the testimonies of men and women with drug use disorders.
I was quite devastated and got involved with the wrong company.
The man who I used to deal with, he gave me a job to drive him around, just to go and buy cocaine and smoke cocaine.
From Toronto to London, New York to Los Angeles, Scarborough to Point Fortin, and everywhere in between, Eye on Dependency has been your source for drug information. Join us as we move to Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Don't miss Eye on Dependency. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories. We change lives. We change lives.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Right, here we go. Once again, happy Mother's Day to all of you who just joining us. You're listening to Dependency, and we're about to speak with Ms. Giselle Chance. Ms. Chance, good morning.
Good morning, Garth and Natasha. I hope you all are hearing me clearly.
Yes, we are hearing you. Gary, just make sure Ms. Chance up in the studio here a bit, and so we can hear her clearly. Yes, Ms. Chance, thank you very much for spending time with us, and let me just say thank you very much from Happy Mother's Day to you and to your mother as well.
Thank you.
Same.
Yes, and we are really, it's your first time on our Dependency, and we really appreciate that after all the appearances we've made and guest hosts and Vision Project Hope. We thank you for being here with us this morning. So the public, and I'm interested to know how they started. You grew up tell us where you were born, grew up, and what plans you had for your life until we met Giselle.
All right, well, before I get into that, let me first say Happy Mother's Day to all of the mothers listening in Trinidad and Tobago and across the world. This is your special day. Every day is a good day and a wonderful day to be a mom. But today is, once again, your special day, and I want you to enjoy it. All right? So I'm wishing all mothers a very, very lovely day. So, a bit about me, all right? So, I was born in Port of Spain General Hospital, and I lived the first few years of my life actually on Parsley Street, Laventille. And my parents, they met each other in a Laventille Open Bible Church and fell in love and got married there. And I was their firstborn. And I remember my very early years living in Laventille and being very, very part of church life. So from a very early age, I remembered singing in church and doing a lot of and enjoying going to church. I had a very unique relationship with God from a very early age, and one that I believed set the course for my life, for my spiritual life. And then a couple of years afterwards, we moved to Borneo Gardens, where I spent most of my childhood, and I enjoyed that. And then in my teenage years, I moved to Dabity. And it is from my Dabity home I met my late husband, Mr. Chance, in my 20s, right after completing university. And for those that may be interested, I have a degree in agribusiness management. And you know the joke about that degree, there's a joke about that degree, right? I'm gonna just put it in here. You know, I wanted to become a doctor.
Sorry, say that again?
I wanted to become a doctor. You know, Trinidadian forgot you're a doctor, lawyer, you know, something like that.
Well, let me stick up in there a minute, right? Because I remember Wayne telling us this story of how you all met. And it was very funny hearing it. And but and I wouldn't let you, you know, be remiss of me to let you get away with that so easy. This young man approached you. Now you said after university, right? And which is even more significant. So how did you find this upstart wet behind the ears little boy coming step into you, and how did that really go?
Yeah, well, to be honest, after UE I was, you know, like every other young person, looking to go into the job market and settle down and meet a nice church boy and get married, and maybe one day, you know, the person might become a pastor because my parents were pastors as well. So I had my life planned out very, very traditionally. And at a church camp one year, the host pastors invited Mr. Wayne Chance. I don't know if they regret it up until today, but they invited him, and they
he told us about that too.
And I heard the late and the great Mr. Wayne Chance, and I tell many people, when I'm telling my story, it was love at first sight and sound for me, because he was quite a passionate person. I never heard anybody speak like him. I never felt the energy and the aura that I felt emanating from him in waves. I don't know what kind of anointing was that, but it was very powerful, and his story was quite inspirational. And I was able to see within him that drive and that determination to make the world a better place. So I was determined to get to know this young man and to talk to him and to maybe help with his dream. I wanted to do something, Wayne had the ability to motivate you to just get involved.
Yes.
What he was doing, all right? And I was one of those persons, and we fell in love. And that journey of love was a very bumpy one, all right? Because no one expected me as the pastor's daughter, coming out of UE and having a degree at that time, to fall in love with an ex-inmate who would have come out of prison about 6 months, all right? And so people were deeply concerned about my mental well-being at the time. So much so, I was telling you and Natasha that, my mother sounded an alarm in the church, the prayer group. She was like, assemble all the prayer warriors, come on. I need you all to pray for my daughter.
My daughter going off.
Warriors assemble, fast and pray. And it had like a permanent, oil mark on my forehead here after some time because, there was great concern about, this decision I had made.
Let me ask you something, Giselle, before you go, Miss Chance, before you go. Monk St. Benedict wasn't part of that trip?
No, but I told you, people from all over came, different pastors and very, very well-meaning men and women of God. They came and they spoke to me. They said, sis, are you sure you're making the right decision? This young man, this is not, are you sure you have heard the voice of God? Have you fasted? Have you prayed?
But Giselle, what do you think people were afraid of with you entering this relationship with Wayne? Did they articulate that to you?
Oh yes, they were concerned, number one, that I was making a wrong decision, that we were not the best fit because, again, I'm coming from a traditional religious home. We were as different as night and day. I was quiet, reserved, having a very strict religious upbringing. Wayne was on the totally opposite end of the spectrum. He was loud. He was passionate. He had a criminal past. They weren't sure if his declaration of having a changed life and wanting to go in a new way and help others, if that was just a front, if they thought you were some kind of smart man,
Yes.
tie up my head and they felt I was being preyed upon and stuff like that, and that there was some naivety in me, and I didn't know what I was doing clearly, and those were, and let me say, those were valid concerns, because without being able to have a crystal ball and seeing who we would have become in the future,
yes,
I understood then and now what their concerns were.
Ms. Chance, let me just interrupt you a minute. And we too on this end, we fully understand too, right? Because let me just say, our mother you're a university graduate, for God's sake. And after our mother spent all that money, our family spent all that money to send you to university, and you show up by their door with the likes of Wayne Chance or Agatha Sinclair. My mother, I could hear my mother now asking my sister, child, your head good? Are you serious? So yes, we had to understand their concerns, but go ahead.
Yes, so it was a very difficult time for me. I call that, one of the dark nights of the souls. For those who are spiritual, I found out what it felt. I understood what rejection was. I remember people at one time, I think my entire church community stopped speaking to me in a particular way, to some extent. And
that is so contradictory, don't you think? If we follow the teachings of the Bible.
I think they thought I was being rebellious at the time, that I was not submitting to the advice of my parents and who my godly covering. And as I say, I understand, because we see young women now getting involved in relationships that with questionable individuals, with the bad boy, the good girl being attracted to the bad boy, and they thought that this was what was happening with me.
Right.
So, they, at some point in time when they realize, oh my gosh, this girl is gung-ho, she's not turning to the left or to the right, she is walking on this path to destruction.
Hallelujah, Jesus.
So Jesus and my relationship with God really, really became real. And I had to really dig deep and know for myself what it is I was doing. And at one point in time, and I did question, and maybe everybody may not have known it then, but I did question what I did as I was doing. And especially when things would go wrong in our relationship, I would say, no, everybody must be right, I as a mad one, to decide to put myself in this situation.
Yes.
I'll tell you something. God has a way of aligning people's lives and bringing people together. And sometimes he loves a good story. God has I've learned that he has a very unique sense of humor. Yes. And he's able to bring the most unlikely parties and persons together to create a wonderful and an inspirational story. And I say it without regret. I have never regretted the day that I met Wayne, and I never regret all the challenges that we would have had to fall in love and become married, and even the challenges we had in our marriage, because no marriage is perfect. But meeting him was a significant life-changing event for me, and it gave me the opportunity to truly live and experience my spiritual beliefs in a new way.
So you stood firm, and you said you're not backing down. Your parents saw that, and they decided to go along with it, or they just trusted your instinct eventually?
Well, they had no choice. Because I'm quite stubborn. That's one of my. I think both Wayne and I are very similar in that regard. Once we make up our mind about something, we don't let it go. We hold on very tightly, and we go to the end of that. So that's the kind of person I am, and I realized that the thing is, I saw something in Wayne. As I say, something spiritual. There was a spiritual connection. It wasn't just, oh, he's handsome, oh, he's a nice man, oh, he's inspirational, or anything like that. I saw a spiritual calling upon his life, and I wanted to get connected to that.
Right.
So we made it, and my parents came along, and eventually, over a number of years, they too, as Wayne began to make inroads and strides in building his vision, and the wider public began to hear about him and his story, and began to see the work that we did, and see the birthing of Vision on Mission and the lives that it was touching. They were like, all right, this is what God really wanted to do. And then they came around, and they understood that there was something divine in that. All right, but I want to say something here. I don't want young women to think that not listening to your parents' advice is something that you should just do without thought. It's important when your parents, your mother and your father, your elders or persons in the faith speak to you, they are speaking to you out of a place of wisdom, of care, of concern. And it's important for you to listen and truly see what it is they're saying. And what I was able to see in Wayne, I was able to see, yes, he had some challenges that are indicative of persons that are coming out of prison. But I did not, there were other red flags that I did not see, right? And I was able to comfort myself that this young man, one thing I knew about Wayne, one thing I could have put my head on a block for, was that he wasn't going to go back to a life of crime.
Right. If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking via video with Miss Giselle Chance. As you know, she's now the CEO of Vision and Mission, and she's just taking us through the journey, how that connection started. And she took a chance and ended up with the surname Chance. That is that is so powerful. That was ordained, Miss Chance. But let me put you on the spot here now.
Sure.
You have a daughter, right?
I do.
Boom bam.
Her name is Taylor Marie.
You know where I'm going with this, right? Natasha, you want to ask a question for me? So let's say she does the same thing. What would you do? Would you, seeing that how your parents were up in arms about this, how would you treat with it if your daughter brings home the same character?
Well, I've walked the road. and every parent has concern about who their daughter, their child is going to connect to a lifetime to, regardless of whether or not that person has a criminal background or a criminal past. You're concerned that your child, that your daughter is making the right decision. Right. So for me, any young man that comes along, hey, you're gonna get the
full inspection.
Right? Yeah, full inspection. Yeah, you're gonna get the full works, right? Yes. So regardless of who he is, and because of my own journey, I don't judge people on where they have been or where they are now. What I would look and try to see in the young man is who he is and what is his potential. But you can't look at someone's potential alone. You have to look at the fruits that they are displaying right before your eyes. Because most of the times, what you see is what you get.
Yes.
Yep. And as a parent as well, you have to have some measure of trust in your child that he or she is making the decision that is right for them. At some point as a parent, you have to let go and realize that, your child is becoming an adult, and you have to allow them to make these mistakes if they are to be mistakes, don't you?
Yes. Now, there are some more mistakes, and you're so right, Natasha, there are some mistakes that are more costly than others.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, all that we can do as parents is to train our child in the way that they should go, is to give them as all the knowledge, the skills, and the capacity, and the love, and the wisdom that we can, so that they can be confident and be at a place where they can choose wisely.
Yep.
And it's important that we instill in especially our girls, a deep, deep sense of self-love. Because, and I know I'm segueing a bit into the issue of domestic violence, but I'm certain that if women were taught their true value and their worth, and that it is not to be validated by a man, right? It is not to be validated by a man, and they know who they are. and why they came into this world and the contribution that they are here to make, they would love themselves first and make better decisions as it comes to their relationships, and not have to pay a very high price of being murdered or being abused or anything like that. So I think it's important for parents to be really, really involved in their children's lives and not just leave it to chance.
Yes, absolutely. And before we go to our second break, could you talk a little bit about how parenting of boys and girls should go? Because we talk a lot about how girls should be parented and how boys should be parented, right? But to my mind, not being a parent, but to my mind, I think it's basically the same instruction that you're giving, but understanding how gender is gender norms and values in society. But what is your experience with raising girls and boys, and how do you parent them differently, if at all?
Well, there is a difference. And culturally, especially as it relates to our cultural environment, and becoming a single parent was an overwhelming experience for me. I always thought that I would have the solid rock of Wayne's guidance there to help me in my journey as a parent, especially with regard to my boys. And when Wayne passed, I remember sitting down on the bed at night and I was overcome with trepidation.
How are we going to do this? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I was serious because I understood the reality and the weight now that was upon me to raise two teenage boys in this modern environment on my own.
Yep.
And that's when, I really started to pray. And I have been praying every day for the wisdom of God to be with me in order to mother these boys. But I want to say, women have a very unique role that we play in the lives of our sons. We are here to mold them and to teach them, for me, first and foremost, love. Principles of love, deep love for themselves, for the female, for others. We are here to also teach them respect and a sense of what it means to have a sense of honor and discipline. This is, to me, one of the core roles. These are the core roles that mothers play in their life, in the lives of their sons. Now, as I have teenage boys, and I'm seeing the transition from their childhood, I love my mommy, and I will do whatever my mommy says. I'm seeing them now transitioning into their manliness. And that aura is coming out. I remember my first son, his voice changed in a day.
That must be a scary thing. Scary thing, all of a sudden, this bass in your voice.
Walking in one of the rooms, and he said, "Hello," and I got I was like,
yeah.
"Man in the house."
Yeah.
And it was my son. And it just dawned on me, oh my word, I have a big man in my house. And it just jolted me into reality. And I felt his aura, and he has an aura like his dad. Very powerful. So I began to feel this wave of masculinity coming at me. And I said, okay, how am I going to deal with this now? When
And is he taller than you? Is he taller than you yet?
So he's taller than me, so I have to look up to him now, you know. And he's strong, and so the belt isn't working anymore. I belt, you know, and all of that. So I had to sit down and think, how am I now going to engage my son? How am I going to connect with him? For him to be able to see himself, especially when he does something wrong. And for me, and I'm just sharing my personal experience, I found that having a conversation, a real respectful conversation with your sons is important as a mother. You know, especially in that in those teenage years, you have to be authoritative. You're not their friend, but you also can't be disrespectful, because you're teaching him values now of respect. How do you communicate? How do you problem solve? How do you get over disagreements? You now have to move from just do what I said and as I hit your cloud boy. You have to be able to move from that space into mirroring and teaching him, this is what you do when you encounter a negative situation. This is how you negotiate. This is how you speak to a woman. This is how a woman should speak to you. So it's about now transitioning into that dynamic. You're teaching him how to now interact with his future wife, with his future girlfriend. What to do, what not to do. Yes.
That is no. I mean, we wish we could have you here till 12, because that is so powerful. Because just the other day, Natasha, I was asking Natasha, do we have any parents again who are doing that? Because some young people you meet, and are the values being passed on to our children, or they just, you know, leaving children to grow up on their own? And so what you're saying there is very powerful. And I want to thank you for saying that. You're especially speaking to your son on how to treat, the opposite sex, and de-escalating situations instead of contributing to it. Because let me just interject this: that latest video we saw with the school violence, with a man jumping 4 feet in the air and dropping on this young man, he's dead. Yes. He's dead.
Well, I must say, I was wondering. God, that story moved me so much, because as a mother, I could not imagine the pain that mother is going through, seeing her son on the ground like that. My son bullied at times in school. And I'll tell you, I said to myself, I stopped watching the video. I said, that could become my son. That could be my son. Because my first son is autistic, and he wouldn't know it if you speak with him, but he has his challenges, and he goes to school, and you could see him trying to fit in, trying to assert himself, trying to navigate the social environment. And I heard that the young man is not dead. I heard that from some sources. I heard that he is still okay. I have to confirm that though, but
yeah, because I saw a latest update this morning, so I hope I'm wrong, but the latest, because somebody actually did one of those farewell videos, and so
oh my God, because I spoke to somebody about it this morning, because this has touched me deeply, this story.
That anger, I don't know where it's coming from, Miss Chan.
And that rage, and
yes.
and my own son, my own boys struggle with anger, because they're upset that their father died, and you see, you don't know where that rage is coming from, and I could only imagine the pain that the young men who committed that act are in.
Yep.
They have to be in some form of dissonance, cognitive dissonance, where they have disconnected from themselves, because they have experienced pain.
Yep.
And this is where We have to begin to teach our sons what true power looks like and how it is to be manifested in their experiences and in their relationships and in their interactions with others. And they are being taught through social media and through other forms of socialization that violence and physical aggression, that this is how I prove I am a man. And they're also learning it when they see negative interactions between mothers and fathers. Okay? And between and within the home.
Yes.
So if you sit and you speak to these young men, I am sure that committed this act, I am sure that there are high levels of violence or neglect or negligence in their homes.
Or around them, because they would also see the kind of dominance that men assert amongst themselves as well.
Yes.
You know?
And that it's okay that this type of aggression means, this is, I have a stripe now on my shoulder, don't come around me, don't mess with me, I'll kill your brethren. I'll send you to Jamaica. And this is the language of power that we are teaching our young men, and we have to shift that narrative.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and some of you may recognize the voice, but Miss Giselle Chance have joined us this morning on this Mother's Day special. She joined us via video, so if you want to join the conversation, we want to say Happy Mother's Day to all of you ladies, who, especially you faithful supporters on our YouTube and Facebook page. Happy Mother's Day to you. Thank you very much for joining us from all parts of the world. And we're going to take Miss Chance an opportunity to drink some water, and because she got choked up there a while ago, I realized. And that was instant.
I think for our young men. Yeah,
yes,
I really do.
yes. So when we return, we will hear about you now having to becoming a single mother to your family and the Vision and Mission family. You understood, you accepted the mission. Let's hear how is that mission going. All right. So and then folks, remember, we'll be joined by Miss Kadaffi Romney right after Miss Chance, because Miss Romney now, she is going through her own journey, which no mother too wishes for. We'll be back. Stay right there.
Finally, Welcome Relief comes in the form of a scientific-based program that shows us how to manage through the tough, current challenges. Called Habitalism. It features best-selling author on positivity and happiness, Dr. Tal Ben-Shahar, integrated with the award-winning Intangence methodology of Ross. Visit habitalism.me to register now for this free life-transforming program endorsed by the United Nations established University for Peace. Gifted by Guardian Group. Live easy.
On Dependency will be a morning show in 2022.
That's right. On Dependency marks 20 years on the air. We're taking our groundbreaking brand of radio to a whole new audience. From the team that took you inside prisons in the UK.
I was being held and charged for conspiracy to import cocaine into the UK.
We spoke with men and women who have paid for their crimes.
They didn't tell me if I bring him back and I get catch, I'll get 14 years in prison. They didn't say that.
We brought you the glamour of feature film.
I do have a package to drop off in Trinidad.
For you, Alejandro, anything.
I will pay you each 5,000 euros.
And the squalor of death row.
I said come in person for my kids in the High Court in Port of Spain, and it was in come my and pin from the gate.
And of course, the testimonies of men and women with drug use disorders.
I was quite devastated and got involved with the wrong company.
The man who I used to deal with, he gave me a job to drive him around. Just to go and buy cocaine and smoke cocaine.
From Toronto to London, New York to Los Angeles, Scarborough to Point Fortin, and everywhere in between, Eye on Dependency has been your source for drug information. Join us as we move to Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Don't miss Eye on Dependency. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories. We change lives. We change lives.
Yes, girl. Online here with this weirdo named Larry. I'm getting rid of him now.
Folks, and you're listening to Independency, and we are speaking right now with Miss Giselle Chance, and she's going to tell us now. If you just joined, you missed a lot. And but Miss Chance, well, thank you for staying with us. So you understood and you accepted the mission. You had to change gears now because now you're a single mother, but you also had to adopt and carry on the work of your husband at Vision and Mission.
Yeah.
Were you prepared for it?
No, I wasn't. From a conscious level, but subconsciously and internally, I believe that God would have guided me throughout all these years. And my experiences with Wayne and with working with our clients over the years would have prepared me. All right, but from a very basic level, it was a very steep learning curve for me. And I had to really draw deep within the strengths that were just there, dormant inside. And I had to have the courage to step forward. And, you know, we tend to do things by instinct at some point in time, especially when it comes to protecting our children. And part of me taking up this calling, because I call it a calling, it's more than just a job for me. But this calling was to ensure that the legacy that Wayne would have left would remain for my children, for our children to see and touch and feel, right? And experience themselves. I could not allow it to die. I could not allow it to just go and flow into the hand of someone else. I could not risk that. So, you know, you see those mothers who would jump in front of a train or a moving car or something, you know, just being, you know, dramatic, but
yeah,
would go extra mile because their children and the legacy of their children is so important. So the legacy of my family, this is one of the single most motivating factors for me, and why I decided to take up this role. And secondly, over the years that I would have been in the background working in Vision and Mission, I genuinely developed a love for these people. My eyes were opened, and that compassion and that empathy for those who have made a mistake in their lives, because we all make mistakes. That passion and that compassion and that empathy is something that is an integral part of who I am now.
That is so powerful, and you know, you are now CEO, the Chief Executive Officer of Vision and Mission, and you're ably supported by a good board too. That's one thing for sure. You know, with Mr. Wilson and Mr. Fredericks and Darian and all of these folks, you have support now, right, in doing this?
Yes, I do, and I am very blessed to have had the support of the existing board, and I haven't really changed that board. So it's the same board I would have served when Wayne was alive, and they really held my hand and has empowered me to transition into my role as CEO today. I learn from each member of my board. I learn different skills and different things, and I'm really, really blessed and honored to have such a amazing group of people working alongside me.
What is the style of leadership that you bring to this organization? Because we know that women have a different way of doing things, and as you mentioned, you're very different personality to Wayne. So what do you think you have brought to this role that makes it so special and allows you to carry on this legacy?
You know, we women, we had our flair, we had our own flavor to things. And I would say my leadership style is collaborative. And that is a bit of a difference between Wayne and I. Wayne was this is the way it's going to be.
Yes. That's exactly what I mean. That's why I asked.
In line.
Yep.
Line up. And so I must say I am collaborative in my approach, but I am very firm when I can be.
Yes.
When I need to be. All right, I put my foot down.
Those of you listening, Miss Chance adopted somebody jargon from Wayne to it, or they don't get tired of
it. Listen, when you see I get vexed, I just transition it away, transmode, I said, listen, I say, partner man, don't play, come and jam with my program, Don't come and play the fool here, Anyway, chances just come true.
So how many men now you are under your care at the Vision Mission?
Well, we have clients that we accommodate in-house, and we also have clients that we assist independently. So right now we accommodate about 40 clients at our Wallafield estate. Yes, and that has a capacity of 60. And at Laventille, we have 4 clients who are in transitional housing. And what that means is that these are just self-contained apartments that are put on the market at a very reduced rate so that our clients can have a financial buffer, so they don't have to be paying the full rent out there. So if an apartment is $2,500, our clients pay $1,200 a month or $900, and in that way they're able to save. And because many of them do not have very high-paying jobs, and we do not want them vulnerable to going back into a life of crime. So these what we call like Kickstarter apartments really gets them grounded before they transition out. So I say right now, in-house we manage about 45 men, and then we have an additional 10 to 20 clients and families that we take care of outside of that. And then with our new launch of with the recent launch of our Triangle of Hope program, we have even extended that to 10 new families of incarcerated inmates that we are taking personal responsibility for.
Wonderful. Wonderful. I'm so pleased to hear this, knowing that, we've listened to Wayne bawl and scream for at least 10 years before anybody took him seriously. And I think we got a jolted wake-up call when we realized that plane loads of deportees were going to come here whether we like it or not, and we have to do something about it. And
also people are going to leave prison at some point.
And people are going to leave prison at some point. Yes.
We need to provide for them.
And just one experience, if you don't mind, because folks, we have been joined by Miss Kadaffi Romney. But Miss Chance, have you ever went to pick up someone who just came to Trinidad, who was deported to Trinidad? How have you ever had that experience?
Unfortunately, when Wayne was alive, he didn't want me exposed. He used to he used to hide me away. It's as if he didn't want me exposed to the deportees and the clients.
Right.
So he would not allow me to do that. And ironically, I interact with them every day now. But so not when he was alive. And then on the onset of for those that would remember, he would have passed away in November of 2019, and as of March 2020 was the pandemic.
Right.
And for the system by which we have been receiving deportees has changed. So what would happen is that we would no longer go to pick them up like before. Every single deportee that enters Trinidad and Tobago, the immigration liaises with the defense force. So the defense force has the remit to collect that deportee and bring them to our facility. So our facility is the facility in Trinidad and Tobago that quarantines deportees. Sometimes on a bi-weekly basis, on a monthly basis. So I do interact with deportees when they arrive at our quarantine facility, which is the same facility that we have our starter apartments. So there's a section of that property that caters for the quarantining of deportees when they arrive in Trinidad and Tobago. So that is when I would interact with them, when they come to our facility. And after the one or two occasions, I had to pee up and talk to them and stuff like that.
Right.
And then I would engage with those who would stay on with Vision on Mission. I would engage with them after their quarantine period has ended.
Okay. Ms. Chance, I mean, this is wonderful to see how Vision and Mission has grown by leaps and bounds. And I'm really, 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 really proud and again, the support, because I've been there on many occasions to interact and do lectures on behalf of Vision and Mission in the prison at Wallerfield, and I must say I'm really, really impressed, and I'm happy to be part of the journey. So
Thank you
thank
so
you
much.
very, very much.
And Natasha, thank you so much.
Yes, and we are happy to support in any way that we can the work that you're doing, because it is important, because the group of men primarily, and I know that you probably have plans to expand your services to women, but the group of the group of men that you provide services to are vulnerable, and it's, to me, it's all a part of understanding that men are not, they're not robots, they're not pieces of stone, they're not marble. They have needs, they have emotions, they have vulnerabilities, and we are happy to support any organization that is catering to those needs and provide and helping them to get back on their feet.
Yes, and that's what we do. We are about giving second chances.
Yep.
Yes.
And I love it.
And as someone says here on Facebook, Miss Alicia George said, Mrs. Chance, you are a great inspiration to me, such strength and poise. Thanks for sharing. Alison Solandi said, we need an entire show dedicated to Vision and Mission. And Alison, we are going to do that.
Yes, we can do that.
We're
of
working on
course.
that feverishly so that we can have, a month actually of Vision and Mission on our Dependency, so that you can hear the work that they do. And I'm really, really, really proud of this what we have done here, and I'm hoping one day, that we can follow in your footsteps. Maybe one day somebody might interview Natasha and hear her story, because nobody knows Natasha get poured from me already to it. So we hear that story.
We have walked the road, yes. We have traveled our bags. Out the door.
Suitcase and everything out on the lawn, yes. but we understood, and I all that has changed now, and I love my mother-in-law now. Bad.
Yes,
So,
yes.
Happy Mother's Day to you, Hazel. Yes, folks. So we joined by Ms. Chance. So Ms. Chance going to give us a few minutes of her time.
Yes, I am going to spend a little longer.
Yes, because she has to join her family, and so this is a morning that you can't ask her mother to do too much. So, but we joined by Ms. Kadaffi Romney, And you would have heard, Miss Chance, you would have heard Miss Kadaffi's plight for over the past month with her son and that situation with the police.
Yes.
And it's so fitting to have both of you on at the same time, because you can also give us some hope and strength, and you have dealt with sons like Miss Romney's. So without further ado, we ask Miss Romney, thank you very much for joining us.
And happy Mother's Day to
Happy
you.
Mother's Day to you too, Miss Romney.
Thank you, and happy Mother's Day, Giselle and Natasha and Giselle, everyone.
So Miss Romney, let's get right into it. Tell us about you too. You heard Miss Chance, and I'm sure you were inspired by her story. So, born and grew up.
Can you repeat that? I did not get that.
Just tell us a bit about yourself, where you were born, and how your family
was shaped.
Shaped. Yeah.
I was born in Port of Spain and grew up initially in Woodbrook. My mom was, back in the day, the postmistress, and postmistresses got living quarters. So the last place we lived was in Woodbrook. Good family. My dad was in the Ministry of Agriculture. Normal family. And then we moved to Diamond Vale. I have two sisters. I'm the middle child. And well, that was my childhood. We had parents who loved us dearly. And but as girls, we were, especially my elder sister and I, we were a bit different. We had older parents, they had us older. So I can safely say, I know everybody wants to be different, but we were a bit different in terms of our dad, mainly. He didn't have boys, and he taught us to be assertive, standing for what we believe in. It might not have been the same beliefs as his, but we grew with it. Yeah.
So you're close to your dad?
I'm close to my both parents. Well, they've passed, and I was close to my both parents.
Right. So you grew up in a loving home, and when you stepped out and decided to have your own family, tell us how that happened for you.
Well, first of all, none of my pregnancies were planned. I didn't start off preparing for a family. And that's in all honesty. If you ask me what I envisioned as a kid, I envisioned being I grew up in Diamond Vale, as I said, after we moved. And most people were married and stuff. All of us were Roman Catholics. I started to get my own ideas about life. And so I envisioned for myself one kid, a girl, and actually being a single mom. That's what I envisioned for myself. I was 13, 14 when I was telling my sister, I don't want to get married. I want to be that single mama. Don't ask me why, but that's what I was thinking in my head. My parents were married. All our relatives are married. And so I had my kids. I had one, the girl. Everything went as planned. I was proposed to. I turned down the marriage proposal. The dad is English. And now I have 5 kids. One passed.
Now, you had a unique experience of switching areas. And so let's talk about, some of the challenges now you would have faced after you had to move from one area to the next. How did that factor in?
All right. My parents, of course, was against me having kids outside of marriage. They were not pleased with that at all. My mom she's a mother. She advised but unsupported my dad. He also didn't like the people I chose in my life. And at least the last 2, I have 5 kids, 3 dads. I have no regrets in terms of the 5 kids I have. But my parents were definitely not pleased with it. And at one point, I remember my dad giving me an ultimatum with my last 3 kids' father. And I went with it. Instead of, I thought he was bluffing, but I took his bluff seriously. And so I started to move. I moved first to Mayaro. I was pregnant with my last kid. And after that, it was a lot of moving until I moved back home, and my mom asked me to come back home, which I am glad she did. By this time, I was seeing certain things that they were basically advising me on before. I'm getting older, I'm mature, and I'm now a mother myself. And yeah, so I moved, and moving was not nice. And even after moving back home, some years later, the house sold, and there was more moving to areas that I've only heard about in the papers, in the newspapers.
If you're just joining us, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with we have Miss Giselle Chan still on with us, video call. She has to leave in an hour, and of course, Miss Kadaffi Romney, who is taking us through her journey towards her mom, and growing up children in this century, it's been very challenging. And you heard Miss Chan speak to that, Kadaffi. Now, how challenging it was for you now, growing up your sons in the new place that you moved to?
Okay, well, I came on a bit to hear all of Mrs. Chan's, what she was talking about, but I did hear the end. But I can only say from my experience. Okay, so I lived in Diamond Vale. I've never been to Mover, where all my life, all I've heard about in Mover is the terrible things, the atrocities. I've never, up to that point in my life, heard anything good about Mover. And their dad is from Mover, so his mom, who lives in America, she heard that I sold the house, and she said, "Instead of renting, move up there." And it was a whole different. Everything was different to what I had known in my life. Not as bad as I'd been told it was, though. There are good people living in Moha. But a lot of things were different. The children were allowed to be freely running around the streets. I wasn't having that with my kids. So I was considered overprotective by not only the kids in the neighborhood, but by the parents as well. I spoke proper English, not much dialect in my language, and even that, it was a lot of things. And my kids were at that tender age where they are comparing, and kids do compare. Yeah. And the boys in that neighborhood was a little more, they were tougher. They had to, some of them had to fend for themselves. And of course, my sons came in contact with them. I always let the kids come over to my house because, these are the kids that are in the neighborhood. So they came to play with us, but then I will hear the conversations. So my kids were exposed to a completely different lifestyle that I was hoping they will grow up into, meaning the one that I grew up in, It was completely different. So here I am now trying to implement what I learned from my parents to them in a neighborhood that didn't understand that. That's the best I can explain it.
Yeah. Now, Ms. Chance, before you let you go, you understand the picture she just painted there, right?
Yes. So you have the battle between your nature and your nurturing environment, meaning there's something she wanted to share. Miss Romney wanted to share with her children. All right. Part of it was her nature, the way she was nurtured as well, became part of her nature, and she wanted to now share that, her experiences with her children, her life values, her standards, her way of living with her children. But then comes the environment.
Yes.
All right. The additional attending, nurturing environment, because And this is where we have to understand that our children are not only learning from us, but they are also learning from others in the environment, that is in the most immediate environment. And I could only imagine the challenge we have had in those competing values, trying to instill her values as opposed to the prevailing societal communal values that would have been prevailing at the time. So totally understand what can happen there. And this is this is not unique to Miss Romney. You have parents that say, listen, my child doesn't do this at home, I don't allow them to do this at home or whatever at home, but when they go to school or they are walking home from school or they're walking home from school or they're in some sort of other social environment, there are influences that are out there that is influencing the child to go in a particular way. And this is where the problems start for some parents, right? And it takes a Herculean effort now to ensure that that child integrates the right values at a certain point in time.
So, ladies, go ahead.
No, I wanted to ask Kadaffi something I asked Giselle earlier, and that is, did you have a different parenting approach to your boys and to your girls? Did you treat them differently? Did you parent them differently? Did you see that division, especially given the environment that you were living in?
Okay, Natasha. First of all, I brought up my kids to equal.
Right.
There's no, I never liked the idea of comparing. They all have their individual personalities.
Yeah.
And I try to deal with it in that way always with my kids. You know, I pinpointed who, what, and that's their personality. But before I go any further, I've had, as Giselle was just saying earlier, trying to put my values that was not connecting with this environment. I too, I must say, have had to change. I've had to, when I come across certain things that I've had to face up there as a foreigner in the neighborhood, so to speak. I've had to, over the years, come out of who and what I thought I was. I've had to even be crass at times when dealing with certain people, you know, something I've had to be crass, and that's the honest truth.
Now, what part of what? Sorry, let me just stick up in, because somebody's asking and they already looking to get the knickers in a bunch. What part of Mova was this?
This isn't coconut right? No, I don't know. They shouldn't get their knickers in a bunch. I have made friends over the years with people in Mova. Like I said, I've met people with lots of values in Mova too. Initially though, what I was told about Mova, the first time I went to Mova was I was 33. And you might find this funny, but I literally, with all that I've been hearing in the papers, even my own parents and family and relatives would speak, I literally thought, I'm going up into Mova in a car and looking out thinking, okay, I will see people with guns in the corner like it's the Wild Wild West. Honestly, that was my perception of Mova.
Yeah.
The 7 years that I stayed there, as I said initially, I had to adjust. I thank God I have an adaptive nature, and I did slowly but surely adjust. I have met people with values. I have met people whose children have gone forward and done better than a couple of mine. I'm not saying that good things don't come out of Mova, so the person shouldn't get upset. I'm saying the environment was different. And that's a fact.
No, but then, Ms. Chance and Ms. Romney, we're talking about here now, you're coming from a culture where you would have taught your children to eat with knife and fork, but then they moved to another culture. And I'm just using this as an example, right?
That's a great example.
Where people eat with spoon, and they don't bother to teach them to eat with knife and fork. You come from, you're going into that culture, and it's understood that there'll be a sort of shift in norms and values. You know, you're talking about children walking the road, being allowed to be out as they walk in the road, but being allowed to be out after 11, 12, when where you came from, they were inside by 8 or 6.
By 6. So I agree with you. So my thing with my kids, so they're seeing this, and especially the knife and fork and spoon is a great example. They're seeing this, but now they're in an environment where it's cool, nobody's fussing, and I'm still trying to implement that. And
right.
And again, and two, their dad grew up in that neighborhood, so he's not too fussy about it either.
Right.
You know? And
So there's a battle now between you and them, and what they seeing and what they comfortable with. And
and I've always been the main disciplinarian in my family. Your dad, again, even that was a difference. He knows about licks. He wasn't a beater, but if he has to discipline, his first thing will be licks. If he does jump into discipline. I did not grow up with licks, and how I disciplined was different. They knew but yet here's the funny thing. I'm not the beater, but when they got of age to speak out, which I told them to always speak out, they prefer to stay at home with him up there because he lets them run around in the yard. We have no wall around the yard compared to where I lived before. And with me, I'm not letting you run around the yard and into the other parts of the neighborhood. So as they got older, they started to, we prefer to be with daddy when, certain things was always, yeah. And so my boys started to, they didn't want to be considered sissies, to be quite frank, and so they started to adapt and adopt certain traits. Some were good and some were not, at least for me, my perception of what should be, and that started to get a bit challenging, but I must say they never disrespected me under everything.
We fully understand. If you're just joining us, folks, you're listening to Dependency, and we are speaking with Giselle Chance and Kadaffi Romney via video here this morning. So you can join us on our Facebook or YouTube channel. And those of you who are on the radio, everybody, happy Mother's Day. Miss Chance, okay, yes. So we're going to give you the opportunity to give some closing remarks and some love and support to Miss Romney before you make your exit to be with your family this morning. And
yes.
Once again, we want to thank you so much for giving us of your time.
Well, I want to thank you all for having me here this morning, for allowing me to share my journey, my story to where I am right now. And I also want to thank and give well wishes to Miss Romney.
Yes, Romney, you're correct.
Romney. Okay. And to, encourage her heart and, our stories, the good and the bad in them, they're there as life lessons for others. All right. And, and I want to encourage you to look at it in that particular way. We have a saying in Trinidad, we make our children, but we don't make them mine, and where they want to go and what they want to do, who they want to become. And that has some validity. But I also want to encourage persons and mothers, fathers, parents, just in general out there. There's a critical gap. There's a critical time that shapes the mind of a young man. You see that age between, and this is what I'm learning as we treat with young people that are coming out of YTC and so forth. You see that age group between 9 and 10 to 16 years old. You see those years, the influence, the environment, what you put into the mind of a young man between those ages, and who and whom and the activities and the cultures and the ways of thinking and the norms that he's exposed to is going to set him.
Yes.
It's going to set him like concrete, as we say here in Trinidad, concrete. Right?
Yep.
For a particular lifestyle, and it is very difficult after that to have him see things differently. And single parents are vulnerable, single mothers are vulnerable, because when you have to deal with custodial arrangements, okay, where children have to go in a particular and be with the other parent, as in Ms. Romney's case, in this environment, that may not be been what you would have wanted ideally, okay, and then you're not trying to put your values in. So this is where I would say single mothers, even myself, whether it's by relationship or by default, whether you're widowed or whatever, we need to ensure that mentorship, that at a particular age, we ensure that our sons go into a particular environment, and we have to create that environment. We cannot leave it up to the circumstances that befall us. We have to say, okay, listen, I'm going to channel this boy in this particular environment because this is where he can get this type of support, or I'm going to bring this other mentor, and we have to look for good mentors. It is not always possible. It is not always, we don't always have access to it. You may not even be in the space of mind to be even thinking about doing that. All right? As a mother, sometimes you're just trying to survive. You're just trying to put food on the table. You're just trying to survive. But
you know, Miss Chance, I know. Sorry,
yes,
I need
this.
Can I just say something? I know you have to go, but what you're saying is so real, because that age you just spoke about, my children's ages varied, and but they're all teens. And when I left Mova and got back into, I moved to Lunch Park and took them with me. So now in my mind, I'm back to something close to what I grew up in. And that age you're speaking about, they ranged from that age, the youngest to the eldest. And it was hard. It was hard because they had absorbed, and now it's me and them. Again, I will always say my children never disrespected me. They did things where they think they can put the wool over my eyes and stuff. But it was hard. Yeah. You know, it was definitely hard because they had already absorbed at those crucial ages that you just said so much stuff. Even though it was just a 7-year period for me living there, they had absorbed so much stuff that it was hard now for me alone to single-handedly with 3 boys. You know, put them into the full gear I wanted them, in my mind, to be back in. Yeah.
Well,
so I just wanted to, because I see your point totally. Yeah.
Ms. Chance, we want to thank you so much. God bless you and your family.
Enjoy
your being treated as a mother today, and say hello to your mom for us as well. Say happy Mother's Day to her too, and to all your children we say hello, and your big children at Vision and Mission too, we say hello to them as well.
Thank you, and blessings to you. And again, I wish you, Ms. Romney and Natasha, and everyone listening, all the ladies listening and moms, a wonderful day, a beautiful day. Enjoy it. All right, and it was such a pleasure speaking with you all today.
This is just the beginning. We'll be together again with you.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Folks, that was Miss Chance taking her depart here, and we're going to stay with Kadaffi. Is going to stay with us. Miss Romney is going to stay with us because we have some pictures of her handsome son. Right now, we're going to speak a bit about that, and for you to see this young man who has caused quite a stir in Trinidad and Tobago. And as a mother, I could imagine the state she has been. We can just imagine the state she has been. I know, and we could identify Kadaffi because from my mother's point of view, you know, my mother made a decision for me to go to prison to save my life, and because I disappointed her really bad, you know, and so this is why we could have easily identified with you, on what you're going through right now. So when we come back from this break, we're going to see some pictures of your son. You did admit that you would have failed at some point, as all mothers do. We're going to speak a bit about that, and then let's see how much love we can get for you and support for going forward, because going forward with your son and this situation is going to be a really bumpy ride. So, folks, we're going to take a break, And we'll be back with we're gonna take a break, and we'll be back with Miss Romney right here on I-95.5 FM live on our Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel. Please stay right there.
Okay.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and
Give mom a phone.
What are you doing taking them kind of pictures? I'll tell mommy.
And I'll tell her you invaded my privacy.
Privacy? When you send those pics, you lose all privacy. It's like setting up a billboard with your naked pics for the world to see.
Those pictures are for my boyfriend's eyes only, and he'll never do that to me.
Yes, he can, or one of his friends or family. Or someone can steal his phone. Sending naked pics can open you up to embarrassment for you, your family, and friends. You can be harassed by bullies. Your pics can be uploaded to websites and seen by everybody, even the wrong people, sex offenders. It can also affect you getting a good job in the future. Once those pictures go out, you can never get them back.
Okay, I'll tell my boyfriend delete them, and I'll delete these. I'm glad I have a smart little sister.
I'm still telling mommy.
Yes, girl. Our line here with this weirdo named Larry. I'm getting rid of him now. Let's take a selfie. It looking good, boy. I putting it online.
Hey, I thought you say you went to the beach with your parents.
Who's you?
It's me, Larry, from online.
Eye on Dependency will be a morning show in 2022.
That's right. Eye on Dependency marks 20 years on the air. We're taking our groundbreaking brand of radio to a whole new audience. From the team that took you inside prisons in the UK.
I was being held and charged for conspiracy to import cocaine into the UK.
We spoke with men and women who have paid for their crimes.
They didn't tell me if I bring him back and I get catch, I'll get 14 years in prison. They didn't say that.
We brought you the glamour of feature film.
I do have a package to drop off in Trinidad.
For you, Alejandro, anything.
I will pay you each 5,000 euros.
And the squalor of death row.
I said come in person for my case in the High Court in Port of Spain, and it was and come by the gate and pin from the gate.
And of course, the testimonies of men and women with drug use disorders.
I was quite devastated and got involved with the wrong company.
The man who I used to deal with, he gave me a job to drive him around. That's to go and buy cocaine and smoke cocaine.
From Toronto to London, New York to Los Angeles, Scarborough to Point Fortin, and everywhere in between, Eye on Dependency has been your source for drug information. Join us as we move to Sunday mornings, 10 a.m. Don't miss Eye on Dependency. Listen live on I-95.5 FM or watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Eye on Dependency. We don't just share stories. We change lives. We change lives.
Eye on Dependency with Garth and Natasha.
Reality radio, at its best, where every life is a biography.
Sundays at 10 a.m. and exclusively on I-95.5 FM.
And streamed live on the Eye on Dependency Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Alright folks, thank you very much for staying with us. Those of you on YouTube, please like and subscribe so that you continue to get notices when we see what we're up to.
Yes.
But please like the channel and subscribe to us. And
so that you'll be notified every time we go live.
Yes, and keep that love and support going. Thank you very much. Fiola, no love lost, I understand what you were saying. I just use the term knickers in a bunch for expression. But I understand what you said, and of course Ms. Romney cleared that up. Right, so keep the love and support, man. You know that. No offense was meant. So, Mr. Romney, so let's get back to you with this latest challenge with your son. Shopman, you can put up the pictures of him, and let's see. You tell us, Mr. Romney. You said he ran afoul of the law a couple of times. How did you lose him? You used an expression. He fell through the cracks of life. Could you elaborate on that expression, please?
Well, I think this particular son has been, children are considered a sponge, absorbing everything. I think he absorbed a lot of what was happening around him, being aware of me, his father, and coming up with his own ideas of life, obviously. He was also tested with a high IQ. And he was also from very young, always enterprising, had entrepreneurial ambitions. And of course, with how life went for me, there were moments, a lot of moments, when I experienced what poverty is like, And by 15, that same crucial age I was talking with Miss Trans just now about, is the age I moved into. His age was that age when I moved to Chaguanas. And I noticed, I'm trying to keep abreast of all kids now, it's me alone, but I did notice he started certain type of movies he got interested in. They were selling DVDs in those days. And I will choose what movies I wanted them to look at, but he started getting, whether it's from school or whoever, bringing home certain movies, and it was always with guerrilla, kids in Africa with guns, and it was a lot of African movies with kids in Africa, guerrilla fighting the system. And that's where his mentality, I realized, started to go in fighting the system. When I say that I contributed to his failing as a mother, I think he got that that way of his went into direction, because I have always been looked at as a strong person with my own unorthodox style of living, and that with his thoughts contributed in what I consider to be a negative manner.
So he did some time, you said, for it was 2 years for ammunition.
Yeah, not while he was with me. This is, mind you, even though I noticed that he was erring and falling, as I said before, through the cracks, and I was still trying to straighten him up. This gun thing happened after he left home. He never brought that into the house to me, having police, nothing like that. When he went on his own, yes, he got married young, and they were having a divorce, and his wife told the police that he had a gun. Basically, that's how it went. And he did have a gun when they entered his premises. He did have a gun.
So you're making no excuses for him, right? He did challenge the law.
Yeah, no, I have a gun. Mm-hmm.
Yeah? Hello?
Sorry, I was not hearing. Sorry, go ahead.
Yes, no, I was saying that, Shoma, you can put out the pictures again of her son. So, yes, so you're making no excuses for him, right? You did admit that he did, because, there are mothers out there, people tend to go at them when they say, my son was a good boy, but you were big enough to say, look, my son did challenge, he did cross the line.
He made some
wrong choices and he paid for it.
Yes, he did cross the line, and I have taken him to task. Even though he was no longer in my house, I've taken him to task many times even before that jail time he had. Even on WhatsApp, he's no longer living with me. Certain things he posted, and even though he's not underage anymore, I will call him and take him to task and ask him, what does he think he's doing? And of course, he's his own man now, and he's now feeling himself as a man. So he's not even acknowledging what I'm saying anymore, you know. But no, I'm not putting any. I'm not sugarcoating that part of his life at all, at all.
So were you surprised when where were you
latest incidents
when
happened?
your son ended up in the news again? He just one day, your son is the most wanted man in Trinidad and Tobago.
No, it was not news for me because since 2020, even though I was not at home in Trinidad, we communicated. I communicate with my children, and he told me at one point he keeps a lot of things to himself, but when he does open up, he will say certain things. And I remember distinctly in 2020, we spoke on video cam, and he told me that the police were harassing him, pulling him over, and I always felt something. And when I called, he was 2 days in jail as well. It's apart from him telling me, I felt things. And I will call, his wife will tell me nothing, and I'll say, listen, I'm feeling something is not right. So he explained that is what happened. They kept putting him in jail illegally, and that he had a lawsuit before the court, and then COVID came. So I have been aware of what has been happening. And then last year, something occurred where, again, they had him in the Loop News having a gun, which I can sit here, even though I was not in Trinidad, and say that never happened. Because that same night on Beyond the Tape, they said they raided a party, and even though they were underage people, my kids have outstanding marks on their body, which is my name. And they couldn't be two places at the same time. So I wanted to go live then, even though I was in England. And my kids was like, no, not yet. They needed to get all the witnesses' statements and stuff. And I guess they were trying to protect me as well from being exposed like I am exposed now.
So now he is, so what's the latest now with it? Excuse me. Oh, forgive me. What, apart from, before we go to that, what would you say to mothers out there growing up as a son in this era, and what did you miss and what they should not?
Okay, what I would like to say to parents, I know today is Mother's Day, but I would like to say to parents, because I don't honestly think it's just a mother's role to rear a child.
Of course.
And what I would like to say to parents, mothers in particular, seeing that the onus is on us a lot of times, is that spend a lot of time with your son, which I did, but sometimes pay attention not just to the wrong company or the company that you don't think is too palatable for your taste. Because sometimes it's the company that you are okay with is the wrong company. That's to start with. You can be blindsided, by who you as a parent think is better friends for your kids. And they might turn out to just not be. And be on it. It's going to be stressful. Be on their cases. They will not like you at times, especially the mothers, as I said, who the onus is on. And that's okay. Let them not like you, and still be their best friend. Because that's another thing people say, you try to be a friend. It's okay to try to be a children's friend, but they don't have to like you. Stop seeking. You are supposed to love your kids. Don't seek to have them love you and let things slide. No, it's not going to work that way.
So where is he now? Is he in witness protection now, or where is he now?
Unfortunately, no, he's not. They were talking about witness protection for him. It has not, happened as yet. And he's where he should not be, back in that area. And police are always unmarked police cars, and marked police cars are always outside his house. This is not over. I myself, where I am residing at the moment, since I came home, there are strange cars just outside of the house, and it's uncomfortable. The
Well,
police did
have
not
you been
take.
told? Have you been told why? Has anyone contacted you and said, "Well, you all are being protected," or anything like
No,
that?
no, we haven't gotten any sort of protection from anyone. Nothing like that. As a matter of fact, even more so, the fact that, let me just say this quickly. They tried to execute my son. It's blatantly out there that the police went on an execution mission. And now he's trying to lay charges against them. He's not being allowed to. And that's mad. That's crazy. It was a plain case of we came to execute this young man, and that's crazy. Parents as well. We have to be aware that police are corrupted in this country, and they are some of the people that can blindside us as well. That word, sorry.
How do you feel, Kadaffi, about did you ever think that you would be in this position as a parent?
Never. I never even I only read about things in the papers. I've never even had this as a dream or far less a thought. Like a nightmare. It hasn't even been a nightmare in my sleep. Far less a conscious. No, I've never actually thought that. Even when I saw him doing things that I did not like, I always thought with his personality and nature that he will come around. And that's another message for parents. No, they are still young people. We can't just hope and pray that they will come around or that they will remember our teachings.
Kadaffi, you said he was making an attempt now to turn his life around. What attempts did you notice that he made or was making to do just that?
Well, for starters, I know he opened, as I said, I was in England, and he sent me his business card. He also let me know that his sister, who you probably see walking around in the background, that's my daughter. Sorry, this is the only area that I could have gotten to do this interview, and she has to be busy. So yeah, she also opened, she went with him and they registered his business, which will have been in the construction field. Romney's, that's the name of his business.
Okay.
And as I said, then COVID came. He also made sure whatever jobs he made provisions for his kids in a way he thought he would have liked. This is no, how should I say? I was the main breadwinner in my home. Okay, I was the breadwinner for most of the years, and I think he wanted to change that dynamic. That's what the word I'm trying to find. And one thing I can say, not through thieving or anything, he's made sure that he will work, provide for his kids. That was always an important thing to him. Giving them things that he thought he would have liked to have gotten growing up, and being there for them, the irony of this is now he's trying to give them what I had growing up, not things, values. The same values that I was trying to give them in an environment that was not connected with it. I'm seeing him now trying to do the same things with his son, his daughter and son, and so I know he's been coming around on many levels, basically.
Would you like to see your son go into witness protection program?
Right now, I would like him to, yes, get into his family, not just him, into a witness protection program. But honestly, this country has left me very disappointed since I came home. It's just been a whole distasteful experience for me. Not just the police and what they've done, but all the other factors. You know, how I see people are cowed into submission according to the areas they live in. I wish my son can get asylum with his family somewhere. Yeah.
Somewhere else outside of
Outside of
Trinidad.
Trinidad.
I think he will get a fair second chance. Doing what he loves doing, showing the ambitious guy that I knew him to be, that the public doesn't know about him. I know these things about him as well. Not only the things I didn't condone.
If you're just joining us, folks, you're listening to Dependency, and your last legs here now. Before we take some calls from Ms. Romney, I wanted to say this, but Ms. Romney has joined us a video, and we just getting from her as a mother how it feels to have a son now in this position. Mr. Romney, on the other hand, must understand that if witness protection is a very serious decision to make, I would recommend, to the state, get him out of the country, get he and his family out of the country. What about that? Not that I don't, the irony I found myself in here, Natasha and I, we've always defended the police. We've always defended the protective service because I have been served, and I too made my wrong choices as a soldier, but I wanted to get that second chance to prove myself. Society, in some ways, I must say, has given me it. Certain people would still like to see me out there on the street as a vagrant, but I insisted I wanted to do it right and give back something to my country. Now, I could see Mr. Romney being that same person. At his age, he could actually be that motivator to young people right now. He speaks the language, he understands the life. Now we could help him, we could use him to turn people's lives around. So I call on whoever it is, want him dead. Still, if you do, let's try and save one, please. That's all I'm asking. I'm not casting aspersions on anyone, but too much blood is flowing on this land of ours, and I think it's time that we stop it somehow. It's really breaking my heart to know that the amount of young men that we would have lost over the last 10 years in this country, it's absolutely astounding. I don't know what to say again, so Mr. Romney, you can't have it both ways. If you want to survive this, then if the state offers you asylum somewhere, I think you all should take it. And let's we have to change in this country. We cannot keep going backwards, folks. I'm sorry. You hear us all the time about supporting the police service, and it's not a nice job. It's a hard job. But then we have to upgrade our police service too.
Yeah, the change does not only have to start from the citizens, God.
Yeah, I know.
Change needs to happen in the police service as well.
Yeah, and I know it hurts some good police officers to see what's happening. But, Ms. Romney, yes, Ms. Romney, go ahead. And we could take some calls from Ms. Romney, 622-3937, if you want to just give us some love and share some love, or you could send a message on Facebook or YouTube to her.
No, I was just agreeing with you. It has to happen from the core. Even in homes, don't we say that it starts with the parents?
Mm-hmm.
So it starts from the core. You can't just dealing with the crime outside when there's crime within them, And how do you solve that? How do you solve the crime within the citizenship, the citizenry? When there's crime for the people who's dealing with the crime, coming from the people dealing with the crime, it has to make sense.
Yeah.
Right now it's not making sense.
622-3937, 622-3937. Hello, good morning. We have a first call for you, Ms. Romney. Hello? Oh, sorry about that. 622-3937. And we have lots of messages. Ms. Romney, you could go back on our Facebook page and check, and respond to some of the messages that we're getting there for you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What a wonderful show. I just wanted to say quickly, Ms. Romney won't remember me because she would have met scores of people over her modeling career, but I modeled with her, and she was always professional, a shock of red hair, light hair, if I remember, very professional, and it was a joy to work with her. I modeled as well. I want to tell her that I've been waiting anxiously all week for this segment to be able to tell her that I admire the way you never made excuses for him, because we tired hearing on your radio, he was a good boy, we don't know what happened, he never was involved in anything. I admire you. You're articulate, you're an inspiration. He has to take responsibility now, especially as he's older, but I think everybody deserves a second chance, and I agree with what y'all are saying. If he's given a chance, it'll be hard to leave what you know to go outside, but I want to wish you all the best, and I'm so happy that he was exonerated, because I was following the case very closely. And you know what? It shows you that sometimes you have to fight, and support, because in the end, there may be a different outcome. He took a wrong path at one point, but who doesn't make mistakes sometimes? So I just want to tell you, I remember you from way back in the modeling days, probably 80s and 70s, and I wish you all the best. Fantastic show. Keep it up.
Caller. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I wish I knew I was speaking with.
6223937. Good morning.
Hello, guys. Hello, Natasha.
Morning, Annette.
Thank you, Mrs. Romney. Mr. Romney, happy Mother's Day to you, my dear.
Thank you.
Since I heard the ad for this program, God got you, and believe how many people are listening to the program this morning because of Mr. Romney's son, and that big media coverage that the story had.
Yeah.
Mr. Romney, you are a brave. You are one of the bravest women I've seen in Trinidad for many, many years. I don't know, this may go back because I'm much older than you all. That we are not too far apart in age. But I don't know if you all remember with Abdul Malik and his wife. When he was in jail, that woman used to go by that jail door every single day. I think they gave her Woman of the Year. She got Woman of the Year, one of the years, doing that. Miss Romney reminds me of that lady. She's a brave. Miss Romney, like she knows, it's like she studied law. Because she was saying all along, she left England, she came back, she was saying all along, my son is innocent. And she was given the story of, what she was told. And she had belief in what she was saying. And so said, so done. But Gata, Natasha, and Mr. Romney, I wish her all safety, she and her son. And I hope that he would listen to his mother. Mothers most time don't go wrong with what they are saying to children. So blessings to you all, and I'm listening. Great program.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Worrell or Miss Worrell, whatever you are, gosh boy, that is bitterness. I hope you find some peace in your soul. Bestas or whatever. 6223937. Hello.
It's a very unkind
comment
to
that's,
make.
Wow. We speaking to our mother on Mother's Day. So who's perfect here, boy? This, you see, and this is what has become Trinidad and Tobago.
Yep.
We're
quick to judgment.
Yeah.
And
quick to rush to judge
assume people. Assume people's character based on, a very slim portion of information. It's disappointing.
So sad. I don't know what Trinidad and Tobago have become. I keep saying I regret not enjoying the 70s and the 80s because the era we're in now, man, too much bitterness in this country. Hello, good morning.
Good morning,
Too much bitterness.
Mr. Sinclair and Natasha. Happy Mother's Day to all and Mrs. Romney.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you for calling.
So, Miss Chance, I want to say, I just want to touch on Miss Chance, we in charge the legacy that he left.
Yeah.
Will was one part of it. And, his credibility, being credible in order to get funding for his organization. Well, Mr. Sinclair, God being not cut clean because of his history. Wayne was rough from the edge, but Wayne was very credible, so it was easier for God to convince people, which I think God might say otherwise, because he has that demeanor. And somebody told me God is very likable.
He's a likable fellow.
Yeah, everybody told me he's very likable. He might seem serious all the time. He's a very likable guy because he comes from, cut clean.
Yeah,
so I just want to say, Wayne Chan's strength was, his will to get things done, his credibility, which I hope some public officials could get his credibility, being credible.
Yes.
And the knack to get things done.
Yep.
But Miss Romney, you stay strong, sister. And may God bless you on Mother's Day. Bye-bye. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yeah, they know. I like how the Facebook, or Facebook, so Kathy and they're taking him on because,
Yes.
you know, whoever that person is, you're so perfect. You know, I keep saying about Trinidad and Tobago, if we would just live our anthem, but I think that is the problem, you know. And I intend to bring that as a discussion very early in the near future. Our anthem, is it we and them or is it we and them? It's spelled the same way. Check it out. It's sad to know that you could come here this morning. A mother, you ever saw her with the police report? Her and her son were shooting at the police. There's a mother here.
Oh my goodness.
She's still a mother. And regardless to what, we're trying to share some love on Mother's Day, and you come with this bitterness. But I'm not surprised. You know, it's really sad. 622-3937. We are on our final legs of the show this morning, and
just to take up on the last caller's point about credibility, that is a very important quality that I think we should all try to develop, because do people believe in what you say? Do you do what you say you're going to do? You know, not just us, you know, as individuals and families, but our leaders. Are they credible? Do we believe what they say to us?
hello, good morning.
Yeah. Good morning to Natasha and Garth.
Morning,
morning.
Well, you think I forget all you?
Yes.
Family.
Yeah, the voice for long,
For a
but don't
very
think
long
I
time.
join in all every Sunday morning. It's just that sometimes, you know, your hands in certain things and it's hard to get in.
Yes.
Sometimes. So I say, no. But this morning, this Mother's Day, I want to wish all the mothers in Trinidad and Tobago happy Mother's Day, and especially to the Miss Romney there and to Mrs. Chance, who was there earlier on. You know, that was her husband was my boy.
Yes.
Like to follow him. So, I want to say for that mother to keep strong, and I think from what happened now, your son will listen to you. I'm sure he will, and I'm hoping that everything works out well, and that what you said you're experiencing there, that it will stop happening, right? And I know how hard it is, and I know we only saying Happy Mother's Day to you today, but I know it's hard. It's a hard pill to swallow, but still do have a good one. And Garth and Natasha,
Yes, sister.
all you continue doing the good work, and me give all you up, you know. So don't think because you're hearing my voice, I'm listening all the time.
Okay, sis.
right.
Thanks
Right.
a lot,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Will do.
Thank you.
You know, I want to say this to. Hello, good morning. Sorry.
Hello, God. Good morning to you all, ladies and gentlemen. Mother's Day greeting to yourselves and the audience.
Thank you.
The meanness that you complain about, God, is a legacy of trauma. If you read about Professor Amy Bombay in Dalhousie University, Nova Scotia, and she writes about Native Canadians and the way that they behave. And what it says is that people who have experienced great trauma and has never been cured, but passes on from generation to generation. If it is not taken care of, if it is not mediated, it gets worse. I believe that the entire society that we are living in is a post-plantation society.
Right.
A great deal of pain from indentureship, pain from slavery. Unfortunately, our governance and leadership since independence has failed to deal with this. And some of the patterns that it has established, I think, have only made them worse, because I believe that we were curing ourselves between emancipation and independence. I have grandparents who went to primary school, black Africans, who were humble people who did enormously well compared to the circumstances that they had when they were born. And I want to say, without blaming, but analyzing the governance, the nature of the governance, the nature of the leadership, and the parts or segments of the society who believe that they are whole and others are broken. Only others are broken, but they are whole. They're completely mistaken, because they're part of that dysfunctional relationship their relationship with those who are more visibly wounded than them. You see, when you inherit wealth, privilege, access, you think that those who are poor must be inferior to you in every respect, unless you are more refined and developed human being, or when, because of the short tenure of your pain and suffering and trauma, you are not being part of other relationships, you are able to seem to put yourself back together with less help, and somehow the other to power ahead of other people. You believe that the circumstances they are not definitely genetic, and that therefore you're better than them. But this is a deeply human problem, and as a society, we have to have the courage to analyze ourselves and to make the interventions. Like I heard, I think it was you saying, Garth, about what's happening at home. Which home you're talking about? Some mythical, fictional home in the case of too many. Some nuclear family that doesn't exist. Some mother and father who cooperate around the child's interests and so on, who are in relationships that could sustain wholeness in a family. There are too many instances where that does not and cannot and will not exist for a long time. So what do? Throw your hands up or talk about a pie in the sky or a fairy thing? No, what you do is you recreate communities, the communities that we had as children. You empower institutions like the Scout movements, like the guys, like the cadets. I recommend Scouts because I'm a product of it.
Thank you so much for your contribution, brother. Thanks a lot. Thanks for that intervention and that contribution, Joe. We appreciate it.
Kadaffi,
we have to wrap up now because we have news coming up at 12.
So
and Joe mentioned community, Natasha. You know, it's something that I noticed and it hurt me, and I'll elaborate on it. New people moving into the area, mother and grandmother, and not even my morning, not even good morning, and there's a mother and a grandmother, and they wouldn't even say good morning. So this is why I asked the question, why have we become like that? You know, I don't want to make friends with you, I don't want to come over and drink and eat food, but say morning. And there are a number of children passing and watching you in your face and an adult and not say morning. But when we were walking with our parents in the road, you will get a pinch in the air if you didn't say morning. So somewhere somebody dropped the baton. But Kadaffi, you have closing remarks. You have 1 minute, sister, because we have news coming up at 12.
I would just like to say, God and Natasha, thanks for having me. To all mothers out there, happy Mother's Day. And I hope that my story can inspire and motivate some of you all to, pay more closer attention to what's happening to the younger mothers in particular. And everybody have a wonderful day.
Yes.
We will keep in touch with you.
Thank you very much, and same to you.
Yes.
We will keep in touch.
Yes.
Have a wonderful day.
Wonderful day to you, my dear.
Thank you.
And say to Mr. David West as well. God bless you too, sir.
Yes.
And the police
Thank
company.
you, Mr. David West.
Yes, we can't forget him.
Much thanks.
Yes, much thanks to you and the job that you're doing. Keep up the good work. And the Professional Standards Bureau and the police service who continue to want to make a difference and show a different face of the police service. We thank you as well. You know, for the hard work. It's not easy to arrest a colleague. It's not easy to charge a colleague. It's not easy. I can tell you that, not everybody enjoys it.
We're looking forward to those charges, actually.
I want to thank some of the police officers who are not corrupted, who did all they could to ensure that he got there safely as well. I must say that. I want to thank them as well, who are against the corruption in their own precincts.
Yes. Yes. You have to hold them up and lift them up in Jesus' name. Cover them. Thank you, Kadaffi. We'll keep in touch. Take care.
Yes, take care.
Thank you very much,
all right,
folks, for all of you who joined us on radio, on Facebook, YouTube.
You all were
Thank
wonderful
you very
this
much.
morning. Thank
Coming
you very
up
much.
next, the news at noon with Mr. Dale Enoch.
Yes, he's here already, so let's go to the news. After you'll hear from Roger and Dominic Prasad and Take Two. All right, take care, folks. Have a safe week.
Broadcasting from Port of